Hey, my dear friends, I'm at work, but I decided to stop and just share this little message. I'm telling you the truth, even though there can be some circumstances in the past that might show you that you are going to fail and actually you deserve failure. Maybe it was a big reason the past 5 years or the past 10 years because you lost maybe somebody you loved so much for the past 5 years. I understand, maybe for the first year, maybe a few months after, but there is no reason that that situation is still affecting you. Sometimes in life we need to believe and move on. Sometimes there is a lot that you can have more reasons to the current situation. But I'm telling you the truth, you're not going to keep saying the same reasons for the next 10 years. It is time to move on. If you are an orphan, it is time to move on. If you are a widow, it's time to move on. If you've maybe lost something big, maybe a deal in the business, or your house collapsed, or you got robbed, like anything bad happened that you would make you fail, it's a reason today, but it's not a reason for the next 10, 20 years, 40 years to come. Can you imagine you explaining to your grandchildren that the reason to why you failed in life it's because you were maybe orphaned when you were 10 years old? They'll be like, okay, what have you got in the next in 10 years that you couldn't get in 40 years? Ooh, what do you say? So maybe you would say, I was widowed. Does that exist? Widowed? Maybe you would say I became a widow after 10 years with your father or your mother. Okay. So that would be like, okay. So you were 10 years with my father and you lost my father. So what did my father do that you couldn't get after 50 years? Doesn't make sense, but it makes some sense. Sometimes we need to learn how to move on with life. Maybe just like me, I spent time on the streets. I was going through a lot. Oh man, I was almost traumatized from some situations. Can you imagine sleeping outside without food and it rains in the night and you are wet and you need to wake up and find a shelter and there is no house that you can sleep in, or you are chased by some security because you're trying to grab something to eat and survive on. Well, even though that would mean that it is a good start to fail in life, I decided to move on and looked at life in a different way. Okay, maybe 2 years on the street, 3 years, 5 years on the street, after like 1 year when I left the street, I would still have a reason that I'm like this because I was on the streets. But is that a reason I can tell my son or my daughter or my grandchildren that 6 years in life made my 35 years nothing? But I still see some people claiming, who are always claiming that there is always something that went wrong, that somebody who was supposed to take care of them didn't do it well. And that's why they're in a different way. I'm telling you the truth. Don't push for many reasons. Look at life, look at situations, and learn how to move on and learn to know when it is a good time to move on. Because everybody you see around, even those you see around yourself, have gone through some bad situations. They just decided to move on. Let's go.